The economic development agenda, I'll give you the short version. The first part of it is preparing communities for success. We want to ensure that there's a great local leadership, and when there's great local leadership, a common vision for what the development possibilities are, and then that common vision should turn in some action that the state can assist. And we're talking about helping to assemble land, to clean land, to pre-permit land, and to bring development opportunities. I had the opportunity to join my good friend, the town manager for Framingham, Tom Halpern, recently at Framingham to look at what Framingham is doing in its downtown. And I think it's an excellent example of preparing a community for success. Framingham has very courageously, very boldly moved to change the zoning in the downtown, and is going to create terrific housing opportunities in the downtown as a result of that. Some other quick areas: we're working on workforce development. There are 2 cabinet-level commissions that are working on workforce development. Every business person I've talked to in the Commonwealth has said the same thing. We're worried about where our employees are coming from next, and so we're working on that. We are working on competitiveness and regulatory reform, 2,250 state regulations that we're looking at to see how we can improve the business climate here in Massachusetts and still maintain our quality of life. And on the competitiveness side, we're looking at things like energy costs, Matt Beaton, and other things that promote competitiveness. There's a housing agenda that we're forwarding. We continue to talk about a housing agenda. One of the new initiatives that you'll see is that the governor is personally involved in looking at all the surplus land that exists in the Commonwealth, and we're going to be pushing surplus land out the door. I congratulate Secretary Pollack especially on working with us on that. We are working in buckets of around sectors: high growth sectors, emerging sectors, and traditional sectors. You can figure out what the first 2 are. The traditional sectors, the governor and I both feel very strongly, the traditional sectors of the economy have been the sectors that have been the backbone of the Massachusetts economy, haven't seen as much love as perhaps we should, and they should see, and we're going to provide that. Lastly, innovation and entrepreneurship is what separates us from many other states, and we're going to work to promote that. I see my friends from WPI here. For example, I've been meeting with WPI, MIT, other Northeastern, Boston University. I should list 57 colleges, and then our friends at UMass. Tom Chamorro is here, and others from UMass. We are very lucky to have our higher ed partners here doing such great things to advance our economy. I will tell you that I'm very encouraged by what I see and hear. There are many of you who are business leaders who have been talking to me about potential expansions around the Commonwealth. The biggest job we have, the biggest thing that I need to think about is I need to continue to focus on what's happening in our core center of Boston and Cambridge, and continue to make sure that Boston and Cambridge is strong, but we all need to work together to figure out how to stretch that success throughout the Commonwealth, and that's a challenge that I'm working on right now. This work that we've done together has helped open my eyes about the connection between employers and employees, and I always looked at the workforce issue is we need to do a better job in schools. We need to do a better job in training, because there are jobs available out in the workforce. And what I've learned from this group and in talking to many of you is that while those aspects are important, the thing that I have failed to recognize, and many of the processes that we've put together to get people employed has failed to recognize, is that it really should start with the employers working backwards, as far as I'm concerned. Those of you who are employers know what skills you need, know the types of people you're looking for, know the qualities that are important, and add value to the individual worker's own credentials when you bring them on board. So through the work with Secretary Walker, who has opened my eyes to this different way of looking at workforce needs, and the efforts of Secretary Pizer to be open and honest about the way that education works, we are trying to turn the entire system upside down. One of the things that I've heard during this discussion is the concept of learn and pray. For those of us who have students going to school, especially those of us who went to Clark University for a liberal arts degree and not WPI for an engineering degree, learn and pray is especially something that we understand. You go to school to learn, and then you pray you learn what you needed in order to get a job. We can't have learn and pray in order to be successful in this Commonwealth. The great news is that this governor is knocking on doors and opening up business opportunities both here and from around the world. We need to be able to be equal to that challenge, and in order to be equal to that challenge, we need to be able to make sure that we're not teaching and then praying that we teach the right things, but instead working with employers to make sure that when our students, when the unemployed go through a program or go through school, they're ready to learn. And I think we're accomplishing that as we work through this workforce cabinet.